Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the I-5 Corridors Traffic Report. Tyson Alger here, joined by Justin Myers, and we are in Portland, Oregon, where it's a state that apparently has never experienced rain or wind, especially during a football game. How are you doing, Justin? I just got back from Iowa.
You were there.
Where it was about the same weather as it was 2 weeks ago when Oregon played Wisconsin, but somehow the rest of the nation was like, this is Iowa football weather. Look out. Ultimately, it's just kind of, I don't feel like we'll get to the football, but like, I think we need to get the credit of, hey, the stereotype of Oregon is we don't have good weather. Now, all of a sudden, when it comes to football, you want to say that we don't have bad weather.
Yeah, okay. Bear with me here for a moment, because everything I'm about to say, you could probably take that times 5 for growing up in Alaska. But growing up in the Pacific Northwest, it was clear nobody knew we were out here. You know what I mean? Like, you hear about, West Coast. Oh, so California. No, above California. A couple years ago, my wife and I went to Greece on our honeymoon. Trying to tell people where in the United States we were from was kind of difficult. Like, oh, we were from America. New York is always the first question.
Would Seattle register if you threw Seattle, like if you're like near Seattle?
Seattle is vaguely, but you say, no, on the West Coast. Oh, so L.A., California.
Right.
No, above California.
San Francisco?
Yeah, exactly right. And so it's funny that while the world, because of the internet, is kind of getting smaller, since Oregon has joined the Big Ten and new faces in terms of broadcasters and media members, people that you see in press boxes, have emerged where they have clearly shown their hand that they know nothing of the Pacific Northwest,
Correct.
that they have not been out here other than maybe once or twice in the summer when it's nice, and they have no idea about where we live or where we come from. And it's fascinating to me, right? Because that's kind of the beauty. I talk about the secret sauce of college football. It is one of the last regional sports,
Correct.
right? The NFL is the NFL. Major League Baseball is Major League Baseball. They all play the same. Regionality matters in college football, but there's also a dark side, to that duct tape,
Right?
Which is, these Midwest media members clearly don't understand that the wind and the rain happens out here too. And while Oregon may have some very fancy uniforms, more on that in a bit, weather conditions are not that different in Iowa, including that was the big thing, right? Kirk Herbstreit made the big news this last week when he went on McAfee, and he was like, Oregon's going to lose because they're going to go to Iowa, and it's going to be rainy, and it's going to be dark, as if the sun doesn't set.
Hold on. I'm going to step out and get a quick tan
Now,
here while you're making your...
You were there. Was it more dark in Iowa when the clock struck about 5:15? Was it a different level of darkness there in the cornfields of Iowa City?
We run by the official I-5 Corridor scientific darkness scale, and they were both about 10s. No, it was interesting because it wasn't a pleasant game for any of the fans in that stadium at all.
Clearly,
I was very grateful to get into the press box, and you see the closed windows, and it's like, thank God, because at Autzen, nor rain, nor sleet, nor snow, whatever, it's an open air press box. You kind of have to dress for the elements. For this game, I brought 4 sweatshirts, a couple coats in my backpack, and then you get in there, and it's a nice temperate 75 degrees. And in the stadium, though, it didn't rain as hard as it did during the Oregon-Wisconsin game. It was maybe about 5 to 6 degrees colder, so it was chilly. The wind was whipping through, and it was the entire game. It was kind of like an Oregon mist, kind of like an Oregon winter, where it kind of oscillates between hard rain, mist, but it's never just dry. And so the fans looked pretty miserable. Lanning again went by your advice and just wore a cotton sweatshirt or whatever, but.
The amount of technology that the good folks at Nike have put into all of their sportswear, the amount of research and technology to keep people warm and dry. And again,
I have a hypothesis.
bless Dan Lanning, but like he just said, nope. Give me the cotton one.
I think that he's got a signature rain jacket coming out, and he doesn't want to wear anything until he gets that. Oh man, you wearing the Lanning? You know, you kind of like you wearing the Sabrinas, you wearing the Lanning.
It is funny because you see, we talked about it last week, and I'll try to keep my Dan Lanning wardrobe content brief, but. You saw it. We talked about it last week, and now it's a thing, right?
Yeah.
Now it's become a thing. He was asked about it. He's like, "No, I want to be in the fight." And
again, nothing that Lanning does better than maybe not actually intentionally doing something and then turning it into a message. Yeah.
Like I feel like the Wisconsin game, he clearly had to make a decision, and because it was the Grateful Dead thing, and I know they did not make any Grateful Dead style rain gear. They just made the normal hoodies and T-shirts, as you saw the one poor cheerleader who was on the verge of tears because they were forced to wear T-shirts instead of their very, very nice rain gear that they have. And I think Dan Lanning kind of got put into a corner there, and then it got brought up. And now, like you said, now it's a thing. And now it's like, oh, what? And again, by the way, Friday, 90% chance of rain in Eugene. We're going to do this all over again.
It was just the whole setup for that game was just fascinating, though, because you had this kind of narrative that Oregon hasn't been playing all that great of football and that the Hawkeyes are going to come in and they're going to totally exploit Oregon's run defense and they're just going to pound the ball on the ground. And you know, the Ducks are just too soft for this.
Yes.
And especially as the game started going, you started seeing a bunch of national people, and I put a couple of these in my day after column for Lookout, but it's just like, oh, with this weather, this is Iowa football, like good luck Ducks. At what point during the game, other than maybe Dante Moore's first pass to Noah Whittington that he dropped, did you see the weather directly affect the Ducks? Because it sure seemed like Wisconsin couldn't snap the ball. Especially that long, you know, it was just
Iowa.
It sure seemed like Iowa couldn't handle those elements either. And it was just, Bryce Betcher brought up a good point after the game, and I kind of went with this too. It's, he brought up there's still this narrative that Oregon's the jerseys, that they're the flash, that they're their speed, that they're soft and finesse football. And it's just nationally, it seems like the Ducks are still in this like 2010 time capsule. Where it's just still the Chip Kelly Ducks. It's still like the Flash Ducks. It's still speed. Even though for the last 15 years the Ducks have just about every season there's been they broke the stereotype of being a soft team. Here's the thing, Justin. Stanford was a more physical and better football team than Iowa. Utah was a better and more physical football team than Iowa. Yeah. Some of the larger opponents that Oregon's beaten over the last 10 years have been more physical and talented than Iowa. Like Iowa's a quality football program. They have an identity, but like this whole like big narrative that Oregon can't come and out Iowa, like Oregon's been better at everything that Iowa does for 15 years, man.
Okay. I'm glad you brought this up. This is what I want to spend a good chunk of time discussing today.
Okay.
And this is what I think, other than when you and I give our takes on food, which is going to happen later on in the program.
Had a McMuffin for breakfast.
Very jealous.
Yeah, no egg on it, though.
Nope.
I just went straight sausage.
Just sausage McMuffin with no egg.
Yeah.
That's an interesting decision.
Actually, I think it's a branding problem by McDonald's. The sausage McMuffin should be the regular McMuffin. You shouldn't have to ask for the egg ad, I think.
But to be fair, the first was the egg McMuffin, but that comes with ham.
And nobody likes. Does anybody order egg McMuffin? We'll get to that at the end.
The fact that they have a sausage McMuffin as opposed to a regular egg McMuffin, and at both are options every single day, and that anyone would choose the ham over the sausage is a bit ridiculous.
Well, I'm trying to cut weight.
Fair enough. So you cut out the egg
and the ham. Just give me a slice of cheese and a hash brown.
So let's talk about this Oregon out-Iowaing Iowa and people seeming to be amazed. There are two theories I want to run down. And I'm curious because, again, the reason why this show is the premier Oregon football podcast is I am a delusional fan. Hand up, I admit it. I'm emotionally attached. You are a Big J journalist who has actual credentials and has the benefit of objectivity.
More or less.
Yes, I do not.
Correct.
I'm at least self-aware enough to know I am not objective when it comes to this. So here are the two theories. There is a thing out there. It's called the zombie lie. Have you ever heard of the zombie lie?
I have not. I'm
So
intrigued.
it's somewhat in the political world, but we are not going to get political right now. But it's like, something like...
Let me tell you my experience with TSA this weekend.
When you were a kid, first off, do they have swimming pools in Alaska? Did you guys go swimming?
No,
Indoor, like at the Y?
No, nobody has like an in-ground one. Occasionally somebody would put up the, like the 6-foot one. You can only have it up for about 2 weeks in Alaska before it freezes back over.
But like you go to like the Y?
Yeah.
Okay.
We go to open swim at the high school.
Yep. So when I was growing up, and probably when you were growing
we
up,
have swimming.
you guys skate everywhere.
Yeah.
Every pool is a skating rink. That's why you guys play hockey.
What happens to those ponds during the 2 weeks of not winter, Justin? Come on, use your brain.
When I was growing up, it was a well-known fact. You eat food, you have to wait an hour, or else you will cramp up and drown and die.
Yeah, correct.
58 minutes, death. 61 minutes after you have your hot dog and your Ruffles potato chips. Swim as you are.
Yeah.
But that was, it was fact. At some point, somebody finally was like, hey, that's not true. Like it doesn't exist. But it's still.
You think that person got like his boys together and just like, we're doing it.
Yep,
we're doing it.
But it still persisted when everyone, I think, kind of knew it wasn't true, but it was just like, I don't want to risk it.
Or you swallow gum and it stays in your stomach for 7 years.
Thank you. That is a zombie lie. It's been disproven. It's dead, but it still continues over and over and over.
Hold on, I gotta blow a bubble.
The gum is perfect. It's a perfect analogy. Or like, hey, airplane food is bad. It's like they don't get airplane food anymore.
You gotta turn on airplane mode. No,
but the other one is air conditioning in your car is going to burn up all your gas.
Right.
Like, no, we know that actually if you roll your windows down, that burns more gas than your air conditioning.
Aerodynamics, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
All that. So those are examples of zombie lies. They are disproven, but it's just so ingrained
in society
that we just choose to just ignore the facts. So Oregon is all flash, no substance, can't hold up when they face a tough team. Is that a zombie lie, or the other option I shall present to you, Tyson? Is this a straw man argument? So the straw man argument is that coming from the other side, from the phone calls coming from inside the house, is Oregon pushing out that nobody thinks Oregon can play these tough teams. A lot of that was coming from Oregon.
Yeah, true.
A lot of that was and we know Dan Lanning, and I haven't seen Ducks versus them yet, but maybe it was a lot of, hey, you guys can't play this tough. Everybody is saying you're all flash. Is everybody saying that, or is that a straw man argument that was created by the Oregon machine? So, Tyson Alger, I ask you definitively, the clearly untrue statement of Oregon is finesse and speed, and they can't hold up against a big-time opponent. Is that a zombie lie, or is that a straw man?
I think it's not a zombie lie, but I view it more as, because you can go back and look through the coverage, and there was everything Kirk Herbstreit was saying, there was everything Nick Saban was saying. Like, basically, I saw after the game they put out a montage of everyone, but it's at the same time it's like they teed it up, but Lanning comes up to the tee box with the driver, and it's just like, I'm going to launch this into orbit and make sure everyone sees this. So I think it was a little bit of like anti-rat poison, if you will, like the opposite of it. I'm like, because at no point Lanning is ever going to take an opportunity to like whittle a little chip off of their team's shoulder and then play into it. But I think it's just, I think there's a little bit of laziness when it comes to West Coast football. It's hey, we'll pay attention to these teams when they get to the playoff or whatever. Yeah. I don't think it helps either that we've seen the rest of the Pac-12 defectors that have come over to the Big Ten just get run over in a lot of these scenarios. We saw what Wisconsin did to Washington last week. But Like, do your homework. Like, not even your homework, but just like pay attention, people. Oregon's been a top 10 program for 15 years.
Yeah.
16 years, really, if you think about it. 4 of those years, maybe 3 of those years were that style of football.
Yeah.
I remember covering 2014 when it's Marcus as quarterback, and there's still a lot of like, oh, this is all they did was give Mark Helfrich the keys to the Ferrari, and all he has to do is maintain it, make sure he puts in the right gas. Don't do that 87. It's got to be the premium. Mm-hmm. The big storyline that year for me, and that was my first year covering, was they go and play the Stanford, and it's like, can Oregon get over its Stanford problem? And like the Ducks punked them that year.
Yeah.
And there was the national people wrote about that too. It's like Oregon finally got over the hump. It's like, okay, then like 2 years later, is this like a Law and Order episode where there's no continuity between each show? It's just like a start over, and you just kind of have like the original character traits that you have to build up.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just funny to me because what's the narrative with Justin Herbert when it comes to his college career?
Is that Cristobal held him back?
And why would Cristobal hold him back? Because Cristobal wanted him to fit a style of offense in football that was very unlike that Oregon brand.
Yes.
That was 8 years ago.
8 years ago.
8 years ago. Lanning's been more of a hybrid of that, I think. Obviously, bringing in Will Stein and Kelly Dillingham, the offense has been a bit more explosive than I would say it was during the Marcus Arroyo years. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't.
That's why, because I do think there is a portion of the college football world, like you said, that is a bit lazy. You were there, so you didn't watch the game. Gary Danielson clearly has not watched Oregon play any game other than the game that is in front of him. And now Gary Danielson, to be fair, he lived in the SEC bubble, and that is a bubble for
it just means more, Powell.
For 30, 40 years or however long the SEC was on CBS, and that was what Gary Danielson did. And while I don't agree with it because I love all of college football, I could see how you're going to be like, I'm already at the best. Like, I'm already at Major League. Why would I watch AA baseball? You know what I mean?
Would it be like a beer snob from Portland going to like a brew fest in the middle of Kansas or something?
Yes.
It's just like, hey, yeah,
it's adorable.
That'll get you drunk, but it's going to give you a hangover. Like our stuff up here.
It's a lot like that. And so now Gary Danielson has to call Big Ten games, and while Oregon's been in the Big Ten for 2 years, it's still fairly new.
Has lost one Big Ten game in 2 years.
But yet, when the weather turns and they have to play Big Ten football, they're going to be ready. It's like, it's raining, it's on turf, like, easy. But like I said, I don't see a lot of, at least the important Oregon voices, shouting at the rooftops to dispel that rumor.
Yeah.
Because I think it's more beneficial. And there's the one variable in all of this, which again, I think kind of goes to what you were talking about with laziness. The uniform thing factors in. Oh, Oregon's flashy. They have flashy uniforms. Like, how many linemen have they put into the NFL the last 4 years? Right? Last I saw, Jackson Powers Johnson.
Also, Connerly.
Josh Connerly.
Essentially that entire Cristobal offensive line.
Yeah, they're all in the NFL.
Yeah. And defensive linemen, too. DeForest Buckner, Eric Armstead, Kayvon Thibodeau. There's better players in the NFL from the Oregon's trenches than there are any other position, and I think that even includes quarterback.
Yeah, and so...
Or more quality, anyway, yeah.
Easily, yes. And so, like, I think there is a little bit of, like, there's the uniforms... That's flashy. Yeah, Chip Kelly was fast. I remember those. And this is the dirty little secret.
Before you veer off of uniforms, though, real quick, Oregon's uniforms aren't that flashy anymore, man. Like they're not simple, and occasionally they'll throw out the Grateful Dead, like the one-off Grateful Dead one. But this isn't the Oregon Ducks that, like, when people are first coming around to the Oregon Ducks, where it's like, did you know they actually have 278 uniform combinations? Mm-hmm. Like they can take the yellow and they can put them on top of the black, and then if you throw in the green glove, they don't really do that anymore, man. Like they're a pretty standardized. Most teams in college football wear about the same amount of uniforms that the Ducks do now.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
but to contrast that, playing Iowa,
True.
I think they had American flag on the Hawkeye logo. That was a lot.
But the Ducks were just wearing white and
I know.
green for this one, man.
I just think that's because this is where I was going. This is the dirty little secret, and this is my favorite part of the podcast, which is I try to get Tyson in trouble in press boxes.
Let's do it.
Most people who cover college football don't like college football.
That's a very good.
They just don't. They want to be covering the NFL. I've been in those press boxes. I've also covered college and the NFL. All those people, not all, but a lot of people who are covering college football don't want to be covering college football. They don't. I am a junkie. I love it.
Boy, if I would have went to college in an NFL state, man, I would have.
And you know this because you've seen this, you've lived it. And so where some fans maybe get frustrated with, Oregon is awful, it's because a lot of these people who are covering college football don't really care to watch all of it. That's why the poll gets always screwed up. And so that's how you get essentially a narrative, right? Even and it's not just Oregon. It's the entire Big Ten is a certain way. And it's like, I watched Ohio State play last year. They looked as West Coast as you could possibly look. And Chip Kelly running the offense a year ago, that Rose Bowl game when they kicked the tar out of Oregon, that looked like any Pac-12 team with fast receivers, good quarter, but it's just narratives are easy. They're plug and play. And I think fans kind of like them. Oregon fans are maybe a little bit irritated, but Michigan fans love that, you got to play Michigan football when you come to Michigan. I think Alabama fans love when you come to Bama, you play Bama football. Never mind that when Nick Saban was on his last years, Alabama was running the spread.
Right.
With the West Coast offensive coordinators. So I think that's where a lot of it ends up.
And it's just, I think part of it too is if you were to try to put a label on what Oregon's offense is now, it's kind of hard. They do a lot of stuff. They'll go big, they'll go spread. They've gone under center a couple times this year. It's been a few weeks, but I remember in week 1, Dante Moore came out under center. I was like, what is this? Yeah. What is this trickery? You're not allowed to be there.
They went into a huddle and then broke a huddle and then went under center. And I was like, that's weird.
The thing I loved the most about that game is, and in the second half, the Ducks just destroyed them on the ground. They rushed for more yards against Iowa than Iowa's allowed since 2022. It was the most yards per carry Iowa's allowed, I believe, since 2014. Mm-hmm. This was Iowa weather. This is Iowa football, and the Ducks just destroyed them in what they are really good at. But what I loved the most from that game is Iowa comes down and they score the go-ahead touchdown with 1:51 left. The Ducks have to go a full field to set up a field goal. They get to around midfield. They need to make a play, and Dante Moore throws the best pass of the season. The best pass of the season. Mm-hmm. For that laser that he dropped into, what did they call it on the broadcast? A porthole to Malik Benson to finally stretch the field through the air. The Ducks had plenty of explosive plays on the ground in that one, but I think that was the play that was just hey, we can beat you at your game, but you can't do this. And I think that just kind of built the full momentum to this is, I'm not going to say this is a complete offense because we have seen the way that the Ducks haven't been putting up 50 points a game the last few weeks as they were the first 4 weeks of the season. But I just love that the variety of that and just kind of the moxie of the Ducks to call a play like that when you have 4 scholarship receivers left on the roster. After Gary Bryant went down in the second quarter, you're missing DeCorian Moore, you're missing Gary Bryant Jr., you're missing Cooper Perry, you're missing Sadiq, you're still missing Evan Stewart, who might come back in the next couple of weeks. But it's these were all guys that 8 weeks ago when we're doing our season preview, it's these are the important guys. Then all of a sudden you have a drive with the game, basically your season on the line. Yeah. As we've seen with the way that the college football playoff thinks about the Ducks and the way that the AP voters, by the way, how the hell does Ole Miss jump ahead of the Ducks? And I digress.
I just said it earlier.
I digress.
Because a lot of AP voters don't watch college football.
But for all of those factors, and then for them to have a quote-unquote flashy play, I don't even think that was a flashy play. It was just a good football play when you needed it from a quarterback who had been up and down and hadn't had to make a throw quite like that, maybe other than in the Penn State games. Incredibly impressive. And we can talk about the kick. We can talk about the exercise demons of a November kick that actually saved Oregon's season for once. But that was, I just thought that was a really impressive game of football that wasn't pretty at all, but Oregon ground out, won in the clutch moments.
Yep.
And that's the type of thing that we didn't know that they could really do against a good team.
All right, so let's talk about Dante Moore real quick, because in what you kind of described is something I was thinking about this earlier today, trying to think about what we were going to talk about on this pod, and I'm like, I don't know if we've ever seen a quarterback like Dante Moore at Oregon, and here's why. For the last 3 years, you had a polished Gabriel and a polished Bo Nix who were playing at an elite level of college football, such an elite level that they are both starting in the NFL right now. And to see them have a bad game was a little jarring because they were just so they played so much
What's
football.
wrong with the coordinator for this? Like that.
Fair, yes. And the other side of it was Oregon would have young quarterbacks where you could maybe see some of the promise, but for whatever reason, it just wasn't clicking. And also, some of that might have been Mario Cristobal and his decision in terms of an offensive game plan. I'm sure Antonio Brown would have a lot to say about that. But what we see in Dante Moore is a guy that in some games is the best quarterback in the country. And in some games, you're like, oh, he really needs to grow a little bit. We haven't seen that in a lot. I think the last time I think we saw that was like Justin Herbert's sophomore year.
I agree.
Like you see it, but there's still. Then he got hurt. That was the year he got hurt.
No, I think it was more when Herbert came back. It was that. I'll stand here and shout this to the rooftops for the rest of my life. I thought the best Herbert ever played for Oregon was like the first 4 games of his sophomore season before the collarbone. Yeah. And then after that, I don't know if it was like the time away or whatever, and it just kind of took some time before you saw, because I remember his freshman year and those first few games of his sophomore year, like this guy's better than Herbert. Like this guy's got all the potential in the world, and people are saying you're crazy because he's still this walk-on kid from, not walk-on, but he's still this kid from Sheldon that was 4th string, and you're not expecting that. Yeah, because Marcus was pretty
good right from the jump.
Marcus was kind of Marcus from the jump.
Yes.
Like Darren Thomas was not excellent from the jump, but he did exactly what he had to do from the jump.
He was entirely consistent from his first start until the last start, right? Darren Thomas.
And then in the
never really had one of those games where you're like, and that was the way the offense was built back then, right? Where you weren't dependent on Darren Thomas, and if he did have a bad game, well, then you just gave it to Michael James.
And then in the other years where you might have had an opportunity to look at that, maybe 2015, like what does Jeff Locke have? They bring in Vernon Adams, and Vernon Adams is great from the start until he breaks his finger, whatever it was.
Yeah, plus concussion.
And then, yeah,
really did.
I mean, he only missed a half. What could happen? What could happen in a half without Vernon Adams in the center? But then you get to post Herbert, and you're in that Tyler Shuck, Anthony Brown era, which, by the way, both guys have started NFL games. Both guys have thrown NFL touchdowns.
That's so nuts.
And everyone in Oregon hated both of them because they weren't prime Justin Herbert or prime Marcus Mariota or prime Vernon Adams, and so. This is the first time where Oregon's actually kind of gone with this guy isn't a finished product yet, but we're going to ride with him, and we're going to see. It's fun to not know where it's going to end up quite yet, because I could see Dante coming back next year and with a year of polish, and I could see him being not perfect next year, but you know what I mean. It's just like that development. We're just not used to the 80% loading sort of thing with a quarterback.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think of a time where an Oregon quarterback in the second half not only it hasn't completed a pass, but is not asked to throw. It's like, sir, your services are not needed right now. And then
if you want to go run for 49 yards, go ahead. But
and then with, as you mentioned, the season on the line, throws a dime, and also, by the way, nearly won the game a couple of plays later. There was a defensive hold, but. like that was a touchdown throw that Iowa got away with a pass interference on. Probably not going to throw the flag in that place at that time. But
Iowa plays incredibly clean football. As you watch that entire game, there were no calls that should have been called throughout the entire thing. Even if you ask Dan Lane.
I do want to address that in a moment, but let's put a button on the Dante. Because, like, that's the first 4 games of the season, like, here comes the Heisman, baby. Like, here it goes. And then, like, clearly not there yet, but not so terrible where idiot fans start chanting for the backup.
Yeah.
You know, that's the spot where Oregon's in right now, where, like you said, you have a quarterback who is very, very good. He's not going to be in New York like Bo Nix and Dylan Gabriel were at the end of their seasons, but he's also not in a place like Oregon fans still have no desire for a backup at all and have never thought of benching him. Whereas Anthony Brown, they got the Ty Thompson chance going, which again, I think a low point in Oregon football when they started chanting Ty Thompson. Boy, a few kids knew. Yeah, so it's an interesting spot. Not a bad interesting, it's just of note.
Yeah, this is actually, I think, the first time going off of that I can remember that you've had a not perfect quarterback playing and Oregon fans are okay with it.
We're fine with it.
Yeah, there's no and maybe maybe it's cushioned by the fact that Oregon fans are like, hold on, our backup is the walk-on from Sheldon. You know,
he went 4 for 4.
Yeah.
He did the end of the Wisconsin game, a touchdown to a lineman.
This isn't anything to knock Brock Thomas. I just think it's the way that, you know, it's for Oregon. It's like either you want a Heisman 5-star or they're just shit.
All right, let's talk about the officiating. To reiterate, I am a crazed emotional fan. I cannot be held accountable in terms of objectivity. Every game I think is officiated bad against my team. It's just the way I watch football. Yeah. As you were watching the game, I don't know if it was like it seemed like a full skew of like we are really going to screw over Oregon in this game. But boy, it seemed like Iowa got the benefit of an awful lot of calls.
I'm not good at this because, like, you know, we have the high view, so you get to see the all 22, and I'll be sitting next to guys who are much better at football than I am.
Gotcha.
And you know, before a flag's thrown,
guys that watch the all 22,
or maybe when a flag's not thrown, they're like, oh, there was a hold there, or there was this there, and like that doesn't register for me until I see a replay. There were a couple ones where I'm like, that's a goddamn hold. like yeah. There were a couple holds. There was that phantom offensive PI on the Ducks too, where they're like he pushed off, and then on the next possession, Iowa had one that was way worse. That wasn't called. There was the intentional grounding where the refs told Lanning that there was a receiver, or the non-intentional grounding on the Iowa's touchdown drive where there. I asked Dan in the post game. I almost got Dan to go. I almost got Dan to go. It was about 3/4 of the tail end of the press conference, and I was just like, "Hey, what'd they tell you about that non-intentional grounding call?" And he's like, "Well, they told me there was a wideout in the area." And then he paused and he goes, "Did you see one?" And I go, "I don't think so." And he's like, "I also have a," and then he stopped.
And he stopped.
And he's like, I have some other questions, but I'm not going to do that. And that was jarring for me because I'm going to do my veer again where I talk about soccer. I've been covering a lot of Phil Neville lately. And Phil Neville's calling card, the Portland Timbers manager, after just about every loss, he'll come to the press conference and he'll be like, "I'm not going to talk about the refs," and then immediately start talking about the refs for about 10. He's racked up probably 2 or 3 fines in the 2 years that I've been there. He can afford it. I think Lanning can probably afford. I was just like, just go off, man. Like just
let loose just one
once.
time.
Give us like a little bit of a morsel. He didn't want to quite do that, but that's also one of the first times that Lanning doesn't really bite on the ref stuff that much. There are a lot of coaches that do there's no excuses thing. Like Lanning's pretty good at not give saying no excuses and then giving an excuse.
Yeah,
He's pretty solid in that. So I did think it was a little bit telling that he was just like he had to bite his lip a bit.
Because I mean, there was clearly no receiver in the area. It should have been an intentional grounding. And then on the fourth down play, I know that much was made of the Oregon defenders running into one another, but the reason they ran into one another is because one was being completely held by the right tackle. And the drive before that, when Oregon was about to at least kick a field goal that would have made it, what, an 8-point?
I believe so.
They would have made an 8-point lead. And their third down play, quarterback run, doesn't pick up the first down, but there's a weird hold. So, like, again, that the broadcast couldn't find. Backs them up 10. Now they're out of field goal range. Now you have to punt. Iowa then goes on the crazy drive. Like, I don't know. It seemed very odd, the discrepancy in terms of one team to the other. But that's why I like asking you, because I always think there's a discrepancy.
You just kind of felt that this thing was not going Oregon's way when the calls aren't coming, and then all of a sudden Iowa's hitting 58-yard field goals, and like that thing would have been good from 70. When he kicked that, like especially from that angle, the trajectory, you're just like, there's no way that's gonna. Yeah. And then it's just like, okay. I asked Sappington afterwards. I got the first question to Sappington instead of like how good did that feel. I was like, so that guy hit a 58-yarder. Did you feel like you had to come out? I read all your articles because I'm a good co-host. Mm-hmm.
But I was very intrigued to see the angle because there was a lot of angles to go with this game, and going from the kicking angle, I think it's just ingrained in me as an Oregon fan. Like, I don't think of all the demons that you mentioned. I think it's like I try to put them out of my mind. But, like, how do I say this without sounding so completely insensitive?
Do it. Be insensitive.
Okay. PTSD is a real thing, and it affects real people. And I'm not in any way, shape, or form trying to compare my sports fandom to anyone who has actually felt a life or death situation.
This is OPTSD, Oregon PTSD.
Sure. But I've heard people talk about, like, you don't think about the trauma, but every once in a while you'll get that knot in your stomach. And I'm like, honestly, until I read your story, I did not think of the kick at Washington 2 years ago. I felt every tense muscle in my body as Sappington is lining up, and he does the thing where he closes one eye, and I'm like, are we sure that's the right way to do it?
I've shot a gun. You're not supposed to close that eye.
And it's like, what? Why do I feel this way? Oh, that's why, because these kicks, they don't go. And then he drilled it, and almost as if it was like nonchalant, like, yeah, of course I hit that. Yeah. It's a 40-yarder. I hit those every day. But yeah, I felt that nervousness.
I do want to do a quick aside, because I do want to gas up the original co-host of the I-5 Corridor, Aiden Schneider.
Yeah.
I've talked 3 days of Oregon finally made a kick in November. They finally exercised the demons. I don't remember Aiden Schneider having to make like a game-winning type of kick, but like Aiden didn't miss those kicks. So Aiden's safe, and like he's like the ombudsman of Oregon kicking. He gets to be like out here and he can talk about it, but like he's probably the best kicker in Oregon history. I don't remember like the game winning, you get lifted up by your holder, but also like Aiden was a very good, refreshing cup of coffee after, because I think he came directly after Maldonado.
I believe so.
Or maybe there might have been like one other.
I think there was.
Yeah.
I get them mixed up.
I have a Maldonado story that I'm not allowed to share, but it would wreck people.
Understood.
Yeah.
I think I know that story. I think you've shared it with me.
Allegedly.
Who knows which one I'm talking about?
Exactly, yeah.
And it's funny because it's kind of like what we were talking about with for 3 years Oregon ran fast, and then that's just like we're talking like 4 kicks in like
over like a 15-year period.
15 years.
Yeah.
But they were such big kicks.
Yeah, but they were all kicks that could have
changed the trajectory of seasons. Yes.
Yeah. It's USC. It's the 2 against Stanford. It's funny that you mentioned the Washington-Camden one, because I got a text from somebody this morning who also read my story. I mean, everyone does, but it was just like, I don't even remember the Camden kick from the Washington game. Like I remember, he's like, I remember what happened, but I didn't remember that. Like of all the things that went wrong, it ended on that.
And I didn't. You know, it's funny because, like, I do remember the kick, and you wrote in your story that it was a 42-yarder. And for some reason, the Sappington kick was a 41-yarder. Seemed way closer.
Yeah.
I think the Camden kick, I've moved back to like a 57-yarder every year. It keeps going. Well, I mean, it was
He was on the other end of the stadium.
So, all right, let's talk about what this kick meant. Because this is why college football coaches are so crazy, right? This kick goes in. Oregon has now beaten a ranked opponent on the road.
Well, they're not ranked anymore.
They're not ranked, but at the time... No ranked opponents. Maybe because they beat them and they became unranked instead in the Big Ten. Whereas in the SEC, apparently if you beat a team, they just stay ranked because obviously they lost to a ranked.
They beat 12 undefeated opponents, but they're not undefeated anymore.
And also never mind that Oregon was a 6.5-point favorite and Oregon won the game by 2. So Iowa did what they were supposed to do in covering the spread, yet they're as a 23rd ranked, but now they're out. Okay.
Yeah. Ole Miss.
Make it make sense. But Oregon kicks field goal. They win. They now have another solid road win. They have 3 games left on the schedule, Tyson. They are 3 touchdown favorites this weekend, this Friday.
Thank you.
Against this. Okay, is Friday night the weekend? I've heard this argument on the internet. Is Friday night the weekend?
That's a weird question to ask somebody who is working the Friday night game. I think Friday night's the weekend.
I think so too.
I mean, granted, Friday night at 6 p.m. is that the weekend? Because some people are still like trying to get home from their jobs.
Yeah, I know that's going to be a mess on I-5. This is all around the stadium. It's going to be a complete disaster. So you're 23.5-point favorite against Minnesota. Mm-hmm. It's a short week, but a team that you should be able to run, and clearly Oregon, and it's going to rain again. We're going to talk about Dan's sweatshirt again.
It's Minnesota's whole thing is row the boat. There's no rain at Autzen Stadium. That boat's going to be grounded.
Yeah, well, it's going to rain. And so Oregon can do what they did and just keep running the ball because they don't have any wide receivers anyways. Then the football, if in fact this game goes as it's supposed to go, and I can look ahead because I'm not playing, but man, the football gods.
You out this week?
What's that?
You're out this week? Hammy?
Yeah, I am. I'm out every week.
Because at this point on the depth chart, you're about number 2 at slot receiver.
I think Mike Tomlin said about Troy Polamalu one time during training camp. Troy wasn't practicing in his second or maybe his last year, and he said he had a contusion of the birth certificate. It's just like he's old. He's not like I am out. Contusion of the birth certificate.
I love that so much.
Isn't it so great? So you get past Minnesota. There's some old Pac-12 foes.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
You got USC at home in November. What could go wrong? And then you go to Washington, who worst loss of the week.
You have no idea what we're going to get from Washington.
No, because they had the worst loss of the week this week.
Yeah.
But they also are a team that we know is clearly capable of ruining Oregon's season. Mm-hmm. And then it's rivalry, and it's who knows what the weather's going to be in Seattle.
This might be the most fun opponent-wise back-to-back finishing weeks that we've had in a long time, because those are both programs at Oregon. That's old traditional.
That's history. Yeah, there's a lot of. Boy, I remember. Remember when.
And it's like I think the Huskies are especially dangerous because now they're out of playoff contention.
Yeah,
they don't like their coach. Their coach doesn't seem to like them all that much.
It's so funny.
It seems like just a car crash up there, but. They're not a bad football team either.
As Michael Scott once said, like how the turntables have turned. 3 weeks ago, Washington fans were worried that Florida was going to steal Jedd Fisch. Now they're worried that nobody wants him.
Exactly. So I think that would be as meaningful of a Washington win that Washington could get in the series that doesn't involve Michael Penix Jr. and Rome Odunze breaking the hearts of everybody 2 years in a row.
Also interesting, I'm watching before Oregon, I'm watching Indiana nearly lose to Penn State.
Oh my God.
And the whole time I was thinking, what's better for Oregon?
Yeah, right.
Because the Penn State win keeps getting worse and worse and worse. After the win against Iowa, I think Indiana winning is the best thing for Oregon. Oregon is going to be ranked in their or not ranked, favored in their next 3 games. Again, we just talked about how there's history there with USC and Washington, but Oregon should be favored in those games. You really want Indiana and Ohio State to win out,
I think
right?
so.
And then you do the Ohio State move from last year, which is you stay home the week after Thanksgiving, take a breather, I don't know, maybe get a receiver back or two, and let those two teams...
When's that transfer portal open up?
And let those two teams
beat
the hell out of each other in Vegas. Is it Vegas this year?
Maybe.
Or is it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. And
I haven't had to book.
And then maybe potentially get a home playoff game if you're Oregon. That's best. That's much better than if Ohio State were to lose to Michigan again and Oregon has to play Indiana again. That's better, right?
And there was that whole last year, it was the rest versus the momentum thing because the Ducks did have to play that Big Ten championship game. It's an extra game, but then they got the first round bye. So it's you didn't play for a month and then they were rusty and then the Rose Bowl happened. I've come back around to rest is better because after this game, I asked Bryce Betcher, because I just watched him for 4 quarters try to take down an Ox and Mark Gronowski, that quarterback. And I just asked, how do you feel after a game like that? And, Bryce started with oh, I love games like that. They're my favorite. But also I'd be lying to you if I told you I wasn't feeling it quite a bit right now. It's that's a physical game. He said the only game that compared to that was the Big Ten title game last year against Penn State. You get beat up a little bit in these games. These are hard games at the end of the season where you're nobody's 100% right now. And so especially with how Oregon's injury mash unit is shaping up this year, I'm totally in favor of you know what, let them go play in the Big Ten title game. Thank you, Indiana, for making probably the most ridiculous game-winning catch that we were all. So that ended right before the Ducks game. So we're all in the press box, and this is one of my favorite things in college football is when there is a bigger game or there's a big game on TV before the one that you're about to cover, and everyone in the press box is just eyes up at the TV and every little big play. Oh! You don't hear any of that during the game that you're covering because we all have to be professional. But that one, we're not working that one and. That was really cool to see that type of just athletic display before we got into a muddy slog fest.
Yeah. Well, and I think ultimately with Oregon getting the win, I think that helps. Indiana winning out, Ohio State winning out.
When Northwestern was beating USC for a hot minute on Friday night, were you doing the same thing of what actually is better for the Ducks here?
Yeah, exactly.
Boy, if that ball doesn't get on that big man pick 6 that nearly was.
Yeah. Also, I mean, we're just going to address the fact that USC just flat out cheated, right?
Oh, correct. Yeah.
You just put the punter's jersey on a backup quarterback to run a fake punt.
It's like Bobby Valentine getting kicked out of the game and coming back in the dugout with the mustache and glasses on.
I didn't know you could.
There's going to be 5 people who are old enough to understand that reference.
Yes.
Although I was looking at the demographics, we don't skew that young, Justin, on this podcast. So
fair enough. Though they're really going to know that reference. It was almost like that movie Air Bud, where it's there's no rule that says a dog can't play basketball, or it's Mighty Ducks 2. There's no rule that says you can't change jerseys and go from Team USA to the third period being the Mighty Ducks. There's no rule. It's do we have to put that you can't put the punter's jersey on a backup quarterback when you're clearly running a fake punt?
It's funny that you mentioned Air Bud. I haven't thought of this movie in probably 20 years. Last night, doing my relaxing doom scroll through TikTok before bed, calm down, everything. Yeah. I get this one where it's this guy crying in a car, and the text is, "Dad finally came to the game. Girlfriend finally came to the game. Senior night for me. Air Bud put 32 up on me." Or something. It's imagine this is your.
Could it possibly happen?
And then all of a sudden,
nobody ever thinks of the teams that Air Bud beat.
Exactly. Oh man.
So USC cheated in their win, but I think ultimately that win is. I think better for. Well, it all depends on if. So I'm assuming Oregon wins out because I assume Oregon wins every game.
Well, let me ask you a question. I think we kind of thought the consensus was if Oregon doesn't beat Iowa, doesn't win this game, they're probably out of the playoff.
It's over. It's Holiday Bowl time.
Two lost teams make the playoff, but we've seen the way that they've assessed Oregon compared to other one-loss teams. Does this win buy them another loss, or is it still?
I don't think so. And I think the way that USC and Washington are perceived, because those are the only
right.
Because if they lose to Minnesota, it's over, right? It was a fun year, but
right.
No chance if they lose to Minnesota. Something really went wrong. But I don't think USC at home, Washington on the road, either one of those scenarios is viewed as tough as maybe me as an Oregon fan view that game.
Right.
Just nationally. So I think you still have to win all of your games.
Why doesn't USC get the same time capsule thought process from the rest of the country that Oregon does? Like, why don't they go? Oh, it's USC, Pete Carroll.
I know
you're beating one of the classiest teams.
That is true. I think it's just at some point, like we all just decided we don't like Lincoln Riley.
Yeah. Did people not like him when he was at Oklahoma too, or why? Because I know why Oregon fans have soured, because Lincoln Riley came in around the same time as Dan Lanning, and he's head coach of USC. Which, hey, all of a sudden you got a hot shot coach as USC. They're the ones that are igniting this move to the Big Ten. They USC is back. So obviously Oregon goes, we've been the better program for the last 20 years. Like, why are you excited about that? Like, screw this, So I understand that, but is that the national perception of Lincoln Riley too?
Here's my thought on the view of Lincoln Riley
from objective non-Oregon fans.
Yeah, well, sure. And it's gonna sound like a weird comparison, but I'm gonna land this plane. My wife loves celebrity gossip, and at times when you see like certain celebrity gossip, and you will see that a guy has broken up or divorced his wife and then is dating the nanny.
Right.
My wife can no longer watch that guy's movie or TV show. You are skewed. You can't separate the art from the artist. And it was like, oh.
You've never been able to watch any Hugh Grant movies in like 20 years.
Fair enough. But yeah, so where it's like.
I think I actually hit the net. Wasn't he the one who was banging the nanny?
I think you're thinking Jude Law.
Yeah.
Affleck did it too.
Yeah.
It's more Ben Affleck divorced Jennifer Gardner, and he was having an affair with the nanny, and then everybody looked at Ben Affleck.
I think there's a few nannies.
Hugh Grant was the one who was the prostitute.
Oh, right.
Yeah. They're all bad.
Wasn't that like a big Leno moment?
That was a huge Leno moment.
Leno was terrible, but like that was like the one time where what was it? He's like, "What were you thinking?
Yes.
What were you thinking?"
But so it's like you see like, oh, so and so cheated on his wife with a younger girl. I can never watch their show again. Lincoln Riley did the football version of that. You had it really good at Oklahoma. Yeah. You had Heisman Trophy winners just waltzing in from Kyler Murray to Baker Mayfield. And you have to leave good old heartland of Oklahoma for the flash and dash
we
of
finally
USC.
got to get some players,
Yeah, and I think that's why. And then took Caleb Williams with him,
right? And
then has done nothing with that. And I think that's the football version of what I was talking about with the celebrities. It's like, it's one thing if you leave the program to go to what maybe is a better program and you win and people go like, okay, I don't like it, but I can. But when you lose, much like Lane Kiffin, when he left Tennessee to go to USC and then lost, and everyone's like, see, you big dumb dipshit, like this is what you get.
But
so I think that's where we're at with Lincoln Riley.
And I think a little bit of the wiggle room that Kiffin gets is Kiffin's funny. He's kind of a personality. He engages.
He's funny now,
He engages with people. Lincoln Riley, it was as soon as they started losing, he started being a dick to the reporters too. There was a young reporter for the Orange County Register who's now covering the Broncos and is much better at this than I am. But I remember he just asked a pretty innocuous question and it turned into a whole Lincoln Riley's not going to talk to them the rest of the year. It's just that. Yeah. That never works.
Well,
When you're losing,
yes,
and there is no dumber battle that a coach can pick out when you're losing than let me go after the young reporter.
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of why I'm sitting here in this seat, because at Montana, coach went after me. They boycotted, didn't talk for us the rest of the year. A whole bunch of national stories came. Guess what? They ended up apologizing to me, which was awkward as hell.
Which is also funny because coaches don't realize, like, sports writers have a lot of time on their hands.
We have a lot of time, and there's nothing that gets us going more than like, oh, you can't come at one of us. Like we're so soft all the goddamn time. But then you get us like one little thing, and it's like, oh, here we go. Rally the troops here. Red Rover. Send the guys with the pens over.
So I think that's where the college football world is on Lincoln Riley. But no, I don't think Oregon can lose any games in the regular season and still make the playoff with what they have left. But again, that kick might have changed the trajectory of the season because all of a sudden you're a 3-touchdown favorite this week, USC at home, and then of course it's going to come down to Washington, but they're all winnable games.
Let me ask you a question, and again I'm going to parlay this into my soccer experience. So the Timbers season just ended yesterday. They lost 4-0 to San Diego in Game 3 of the first round of the playoffs. They didn't make it that far last year. They made it to the play-in game last year. They lost. They didn't make the first round of the playoffs. This year they make the playoffs. They have one good game in it. Last week they had that game winner, or that game tying goal in like the 99th minute, and then they won in PKs. Awesome, great moment, one of the best moments of the season. And then it's just a complete, utter embarrassment in the next follow-up deciding game.
Yep.
So they made it further than last year, but then when you kind of look at the two seasons, they had a worse regular season record than last year. They scored less goals than they did last year. They were a less fun team to watch than they were last year, but ultimately they made it slightly further in the playoffs. So I've been trying to like kind of grapple with how do you grade that season? Because ultimately, like, their goals are to get further in the postseason, right?
Yeah.
But here it's you got further technically, you didn't make a dent in it, and ultimately when you look at the totality of the season, the team was probably worse than last year, but you got a couple breaks that allowed you to. So I don't know if this year was better than last year, or if you can consider this year a success when I don't think the team has actually took a large step forward.
Yeah.
How do you grade like this year for Oregon's success? Because this year's team seems maybe a little bit worse than last year.
Yeah.
You're not blowing teams out every week.
Nope.
You've lost. You're flirting with losing. But if Oregon, like, let's say Oregon makes the playoff. Let's say Oregon hosts a home playoff game, first round. They win that, and then they lose in the quarters again like they did last year. Like how do you kind of assess?
It's really hard because we've never had this before, right? In basketball, it's super easy. Basketball is like, did you get the Sweet 16? Sweet. Did you make the Elite Eight? You made the Final Four? Like, that's it. That's how you evaluate.
And for Oregon football seasons, it's either been one of the best Ducks teams of all time or not. Like,
because last year was one of the best Oregon teams of all time. Maybe have an argument for the greatest Oregon football team of all time. They ended the season at number 1 as Big Ten champions, 13-0. Like, they've done that one time in their history. They went 12-0. Like, that team should be regarded as one of the greatest teams in Oregon football history, but we're now in a playoff era. And what a playoff era does is it, and by the way, on the other side, that should have been one of the most embarrassing Ohio State teams.
Yeah.
Like, they lost to Oregon. They lost to a bad Michigan team. Like, yet they were national champions. That's crowned a success. And Oregon embarrassed themselves in the first quarter of the Rose Bowl. And everything, like...
And the second quarter.
Came alive in the third quarter. Kept me watching, at least.
Shout was fun.
But it's... A bad answer to your very good question. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
I don't have any clue because my football caveman brain is still, I love that the regular season matters. Conference championships should be worth as much as a bowl win, if not more than a bowl win. And the only thing that could supersede a conference championship is a national championship. That is it. That is all. And last year it didn't feel that way.
Yeah.
Because the team that finished third kicked your teeth in the playoffs, and then ended up having their confetti fall.
The tough thing too is, even up until 2019 or so, when Oregon fans are going to look back at that season as an incredibly memorable one. It's you win the Rose Bowl. It was kind of the culmination of a team that started with the 2016 roster. You went from 4-8 to you're beating Wisconsin in the Rose Bowl. You're not one of the best teams in the country, but you had this moment and this culmination of a storyline. I don't think there's those success stories anymore, because that team would have made the playoff then, and then it's what happens afterwards. You can't, it's just, there's enough Oregon seasons now where they've been at some close enough to this level that it's harder to kind of differentiate them. Whereas, for the first kind of 10, 15 years of this run, it's like, okay, well, they've been to the national championship game twice. That's 1 and 2. Yeah. And then you can kind of easily filter the other ones out. But now you're throwing in 10 win seasons every year, and it's harder to kind of be like, what's the feel of this one? It goes back to your old adage of, what day does this feel like?
What day does this feel like? Is this like a Tuesday?
Yeah, and if I had to give a grade or like a day for this season, it kind of feels like a Thursday. Yeah. Yeah, like Thursdays you're almost there. If you time things right, maybe you could get away with a half day on Friday. The next day, like it's almost smooth sailing, but it's still not quite the weekend.
Not quite like that.
It's not like a 6 p.m. Minnesota on Friday.
Yeah.
Feeling.
Whereas like last year was like a Saturday, but with a Monday off. Yeah. Like that's the best day. The best day is a Saturday, football Saturday with like a Monday off.
My favorite thing is when I upload these to like YouTube or Spotify, it'll like run its AI through it and be like, is this the clip that you want to section out for socials? And usually it's completely out of context, us talking about days. So this is probably out of context is what's going to be.
Look, this is why people come to this pod, is because we are comparing Oregon football teams of the past to days of the week, and no one would have ever thought to do that. We didn't even think to do that. We just brought it up off the top of our domes. That's why we're the best. And I don't feel bad saying it.
Can I give just like a quick Iowa trip review?
Yeah, I would love this.
I very much enjoyed it. I flew into Des Moines. I stayed there. Drove from Des Moines to Iowa City, which was about an hour. It was very Portland to Eugene just with no traffic.
Yep. That's interesting.
It was wonderful.
How's that happen?
I have no idea. It's pretty flat out there. But when you know that going into it, you can kind of begin to appreciate I could imagine the Field of Dreams field right there. Or, by the way, get a text from Jeff Smith about 3 hours before the game with just the Google Map coordinates to where Field of Dreams is. He's like, doesn't close till 9. It's pouring down rain, and of course I pull up there's a webcam that you can see the field, and it was kind of cool. There was just a father and son out there taking batting practice.
Let's have a catch.
Let's have a catch. So that aspect was cool. I ate at Culver's on the drive over, which I don't know if you've had Culver's before, but
I have not had Culver's before.
It's kind of like their in and out sort of thing. I think it's based out of Wisconsin, but
don't they do ice cream stuff? And they're a famous ice cream.
They're pretty proud of their shakes and stuff. Then their main thing is the butter burger. And I was like, well, I'm in Wisconsin. I'm in Iowa. I might as well. And I turned 36 last weekend, Justin, and so I already know that I'm getting older. Sorry.
Fair enough.
But it really finally hit me when I'm at Culver's and I take an Instagram story picture of my meal or of the Culver's logo, and I said, this weekend's trip is sponsored by @Lactaid. Pretty funny joke.
That's a good joke.
But the best moment of my trip was in my Lactaid jumped into my DMs and sent me a heart and a cow, and I was like, it doesn't get better than this.
God bless the internet. For all the bad stuff that the internet does, that little moment of joy.
There's some 23-year-old who just got a full master's degree that's running their socials that is you know what, this will make this guy's day. So get to the stadium. Weather sucks.
I had heard.
It's very different vibe than Penn State, which was the other Big Ten road trip we went on this year. Obviously different weather, but Penn State, where the tailgating just seemed like endless amounts of fields. And it's just it just went, and it seemed like this stadium in the middle of cow country. Iowa City is there's a lot of concrete. the stadium's kind of like in the middle of the urban campus. There was a lot of people tailgating like inside the parking structure. I don't think that's standard for them, but again, weather wasn't great. There were some OGs out in like the wet though that zero glam to their tailgating situation, and I bet you the food was incredible. It's just like guys out there who looked like they had been in the rain for about 10 hours.
Yeah,
they're like, they don't have the TVs on, they don't have like the cool tents that maybe you'll see, and they're just like, yeah, like this is what we do.
This is what we do. Rain, sleet, snow, we are grilling.
So that like it was cool to experience that. You get in the stadium does not have the wow factor that it did over at State College. It sits about 68,000 or so. It's one of the first stadiums I've been to in kind of like the Big Ten footprint where I'm like, this doesn't seem bigger than Autzen. It kind of goes up a little bit more, but it's just like, all right, like this isn't like super impressive. The crowd was loud enough. It's hard to tell with the closed windows. The big thing that you're anticipating is the wave is to the Children's Hospital. I will say it kind of like sneaks up on you. I didn't know when it happened. I was assuming after the first quarter, and I think that's when it did happen. But I think it's a mixture of like the closed windows and just like the crap weather. You're just like, oh, like they're doing it. But it was unmistakably cool, and the fans were friendly. They were really into it. At the end of the game, the Ducks went and celebrated in their corner, and people were throwing cups at them.
They were most like, here, you look thirsty, you might want a beer. Like, it's clearly Midwest hospitality.
And there were people on the internet on both sides trying to make it out into something bigger than it needed to be. It's like, okay, the Ducks went to that corner. They kind of taunted them a bit. They're throwing paper. Like, it lasted 5 seconds. It was fine. Whatever. Get over it. The fans looked miserable after it too, because it's just, you know, that like if you spend 5 hours in the rain and the cold and you get a win, like that's something that you're gonna remember.
Plus I don't know about all the fans, but like in their mind, they were gonna take down a top 10
team.
100%. When is it Gronowski? I keep on calling him Gronkowski, but when Gronowski scores, they're instantly half of that stadium, or at least a quarter of that stadium, is like, we are rushing the field.
Right.
We may tear down the goalpost tonight.
Yeah.
We are going to drink and party all night. I'm going to tell my grandchildren that I was at the game when we took down a top 10 Oregon.
It was 15 degrees and pouring down rain. Wait a minute. That doesn't.
Yeah. And then, of course, Oregon crushes their dreams, and then on top of that, runs to celebrate. Okay. We're gonna do what do we call it this week? So like we did.
What stubbed your toe this week?
What stubbed your toe this week? And I'm gonna do the funny stuff in a minute, but like this is the thing that stubbed my toe about people on the internet. We want football to be physical and violent, like we want, and to be emotional. If teams play with lackluster emotion, we absolutely shit on them. Like, oh, they don't look like they want to be here. The amount of...
Like the U.S. Ryder Cup team.
Fair enough, yes.
That's a good poll.
That's very good. But, like, the amount of out-of-shape people who are on the internet talking about how a bad look for Oregon, not talking about you. You're in incredible shape.
Thank you.
And you also didn't talk about Oregon. But I'm just saying, like... The emotion that you have to put your brain into to play a snap of football at that level, let alone to play 60 minutes. You mentioned Betcher talking about like that, those kind of games, that kind of emotion, to then just expect okay, let's do a good game handshake line. Like, that's not how the human condition works.
Right.
They were fired up. Fans were fired up. It's okay to be emotional. It's okay to do a little celebrating. It's okay to do a little taunting every once in a while. And you know what? If you get hit with a beer can, that's the price of, that's the price of doing business. I don't know. It just drives me nuts that we all want football to be this outpouring of emotion, yet once kids act like kids with an outpouring of emotion, we then have to criticize them for it.
We were playing same level of competition here. We were playing Montana State hockey when I was with the Grizz, club hockey, and we were playing at Montana State, big rival. We beat them 4-3 in overtime. Their fans, it's a very small rink. People are right on top of you. We made sure to do our big celebration, like crashing right into the glass in front of their student section.
Yeah.
I had a full unopened PBR chucked and hit me in the side of the head. I picked it up and drank it.
Well, as you should.
Yeah. Again, club hockey.
Not NCAA sanctioned.
Not a
yet.
whole lot of repercussions for.
But I don't know. It's just football is an emotional, violent game. These things are going to happen. You just sit in your ivory tower and perch, and I don't know. It drives. And by the way, I've also been at Autzen Stadium. Like, Indiana did a hell of a celebration, as they should have.
Yeah.
I've been there.
The whole turf was red. As Oregon's doing their post-game press conference, the whole Autzen turf is red with Indiana fans.
That's just what.
Yeah.
What happens?
It's cost of doing business.
Yeah. So it was funny though, because remember Oregon did that against Penn State, and Lanning was able to kind of spin it as no, they were talking to our fans that were tucked up, and they were clearly not talking to any Oregon fans.
Oregon fans were on the other side of the stadium in this one.
They were clearly not talking about that.
So yeah, it was a fun game, cool environment. I drank it above, the vast majority of the Pac-12 footprint that we'd go to, just because, as we've discussed, we love the Pac-12 teams. Some of the home football environments aren't the best out there. Post game was easy. It was easy to find your spot. Oregon did the thing where everyone knows they want to talk to Dante Moore, and they bring him out last, and they say you have like 80 seconds because he's got to go.
He's got to go.
Yeah. It's like, cool. This was worth paying. Worth it for all these local media companies that are trying really hard. You could bring him out earlier, or every game that every game he's got to talk to the media.
Yeah, especially when he throws setting up for a game-winning field goal. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, whatever.
It's a fun little game you all play.
Yeah. And then after, the best part of Iowa is after driving back to Des Moines, my Ford Bronco Sport was out of gas, and I had to fill up the entire tank, and it cost like $32. Gas was like $2.30 out there.
It's a different world,
not enough to get me to move, but yeah. I really enjoyed it. A lot of that had to do with the fact that it was just an awesome game.
Yeah.
Like, that was the feeling of enjoyment of just watching that game compared to like the Wisconsin game 2 weeks earlier.
Yep.
Like this was a fun football game. I think you could kind of understand some of you'd get frustrated against Wisconsin because it's like, why aren't we killing this team that's not good?
Yeah.
I think there was like we just talked about how Oregon's better at Iowa and all that. Like, Iowa's a good football team. I think there was a respect there from Oregon fans that this is a good football team. And so I thought that was a really quality win and a quality weekend for the Ducks. All right. So what's stubbing your toe?
Here's what's stubbing my toe. We've been doing this. I just realized, like, we have been doing this podcast now for a
just
year.
About a year, yeah. Congratulations, you made it.
Thank you very much. And so I don't think I've brought this up before, because sometimes I forget things that I recycle some of my takes, as you know.
Oh, I've written the same lead-in stories, probably. Yeah.
And then it's funny because, like, sometimes I'll tell my wife, and she'll be like, "I've heard this one. Like, you've brought this one up."
Justin, you're talking about the secret sauce again.
Yeah. You've brought this up before. I was like, "Oh, I thought that I just told Tyson that." She's like, "No, you told me to." But this last week, we lost a legend. Forgive me, I don't remember his name, but the man who invented the frozen burrito.
Jeez, I had no idea where you were going. I was like, are we doing like a Lenny Wilkens?
No, I would remember his name. But we lost the man who invented the frozen burrito. And
where did you see that? Did you get an alert?
It just popped up. I don't know why it just popped up. And it,
push notification.
And this is not me of going a roundabout way to bring up Reeser and then bring up that Oregon State lost to Sam Houston State.
God,
I'm not doing that.
That was the worst football game I've ever.
Tyson, I'm not doing that. I'm not using the death of a man who invented the frozen burrito and then mentioning that Reeser made a lot of money off of frozen burritos to build a stadium for Oregon to lose to Sam Houston State. Oregon State to lose to Sam Houston State. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I'm not bringing that up.
It's not your fault.
It's mean-spirited to do so. So I'm not.
Yeah.
That being said,
I'm not going to talk about those terrible officials.
The fact that the microwave hasn't gotten really any better in like 50 years bothers me. Like a frozen burrito in 1985, which I was alive to, is the same hot on the outside, cold in the middle as it is in 2025.
Are you doing the defrost cycle, or are you just going full power right away?
You do the defrost cycle on the frozen burrito?
If you want it to be like actually like if
it
you're
says 2 to 3 minutes, so I go 2.5 and I go.
If you're coming in and you're wanting to grade a frozen burrito, I'm going to defrost it. But if you're just like what every other American,
I'm hungry. Here's a frozen burrito.
Like here's a frozen burrito. Half of the tortilla is stuck to the paper towel that I wrapped it in.
Yeah.
You got beans pouring out of the side because that's the only hot part that happened to heat
and
up.
it's molten lava. Whereas, and then there's somehow a ice cube made of beans in the middle too. So, while a visionary he was, do you think like he thought, they're not the best now. They'll get the job done, but by 2025, on my deathbed, we will have the technology to make the perfect frozen burrito in the microwave, and yet it never came. And maybe he died of sadness.
It's so funny that you bring this up because I bought a toaster last week because we've done the run through where it's like you grow up with the toaster and then big toaster oven comes out and they come out with a couple different things and then everyone's going air fryer.
Yep.
And so we've gone through all those and then we decided that we don't like the air fryer because it's just basically an oven.
It's an oven.
It's just an oven.
It's an oven. It's a small oven.
So we got rid of the air fryer, but all of a sudden we're like, we don't have a toaster. So I bought like a $15 toaster on Amazon. It actually looks cool.
Hell yeah.
It's sleek, fits the aesthetic, and man, I had just had some amazing Eggo waffles last night. It was like the best thing ever. But also, like, I'm looking at this thing, and while it looks kind of cool, you're just looking at kind of the coils around. You're like, this is the exact same technology that's been toasting Eggo waffles for the last 40 years.
100%. Yeah. Not one bit of this changed.
But then I started going like, I don't think it could be better. It's like this is going to show my ignorance of what's actually a good car, but it's like a 60 whatever Corvette. It's like you did it perfect the first time.
Yeah, you nailed it.
Yeah.
Whereas microwaves could be better.
Yeah, but how? Okay, Mr. Science.
I don't know. That's for the nerds to figure out.
How are you going to split that out of them?
I don't know how. And maybe it's an impossible ask, but it's the fact that we have cars driving themselves, Tyson, yet we still can't get a bag of popcorn to not have kernels in the bottom?
Yeah.
How? You tell me.
But I don't know. There's still part of me that sees the wonder of the world. And I'm going, we basically have a little nuclear reactor in our kitchens that you can just open up and you just trust that it's going to stop right away. And all of a sudden you here in Portland, Oregon, have a frozen burrito.
Yep.
That's mostly not frozen anymore. It's incredible.
It's mostly not frozen. Yeah. And they put like a bag of popcorn kernels in, and most of them get popped. And some of them aren't, and some of them are scolded, but most of them are popped. I'm just saying,
Justin, for somebody that is as passionate as you are about leisure and entertainment and the finer things in life as you get a little bit older, you should just be like a kernel on the stove guy.
You think so?
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, like that's like the next thing after you start woodworking. Which you've already done.
I did do that, yeah.
And now you're like, well, come on over because Justin makes the best popcorn.
Well, I mean, because I did like two things during the pandemic when we were all stuck inside. I did learn how to cook, and then I became very good at barbecue. By my standards, I don't know if any people seem to like my pulled pork.
I'm sure there's a nice smoke ring.
But like, yeah, you're right. Like, you get to a certain age as a guy, and you're like, all right, I smoke my own, pork butt. I make my own chili from scratch. I don't buy it out of a can. I can make stuff that fit in a house. Maybe you're right. Maybe I should stop blaming the microwave and start looking in the mirror. And maybe I don't need that microwave. Maybe I just need a little more time to make it from scratch. Maybe I should be making my own burrito instead of using the frozen one, which, by the way, I don't have frozen burritos.
And just at your age, you can't afford to accidentally just chomp on uncooked popcorn kernel. Like that could knock you out.
It really could.
All of a sudden, you're getting Here Comes the Airplane.
Last Christmas, I made a delicious bagel sandwich, like bagel breakfast sandwich, and broke a tooth. Yeah, root canal. So while you're joking about,
was it like an everything like what?
I don't know what I did.
Was it too much roughage?
I hit something.
Did you put the frozen burrito in the bagel and then not?
I don't know what it was. I hit something and my tooth went blink. Christmas Eve, by the way.
Oh no.
Yeah. Now, luckily, it was like far enough back to where I didn't look like
the tooth fairy doesn't work holidays.
I didn't look like a hillbilly.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh no. And my wife was like, what? And I'm like, I think I just broke a tooth.
Let me ask you a question.
Root canal.
Since that happened, I think a lot of people have some common nightmares. Like, there's a lot of people that have the, oh my God, I'm showing up for like a final exam and I haven't been to the class at all.
Yep.
Or I get a lot of, I'm showing up to a hockey game that I'm supposed to be playing in and I forgot to skate.
You have no equipment. Yeah.
Skate breaks,
still have that one. Yeah.
Or you're trying to steal second in a baseball game and all of a sudden it's like quicksand and like you just can't get there. Ever since I got a tooth knocked out in college in hockey, took a right hook to the mouth, came off the ice. Some guy ran up. He's like, "Hey, I'm a doctor. You're going to want to put that back in." I'm sure I've told this story on here before. They jams it back into my skull, and it's still here to this day. But ever since that happened,
your actual like live tooth?
Yeah. Yeah, it got knocked out. My canine straight up came out. I didn't know it came out until the ref came up to me and he's like,
"Here's your tooth,
he's
son."
like, "Hey, is this your tooth?" And I look down and I'm just covered in blood.
Fair enough.
Again, club hockey, we don't have a doctor or trainer, so I go off the ice. This random guy runs down from the stands. "Hey, you're gonna want to put that back in." He takes my tooth, he runs it under the water fountain. That's it. Doesn't wash it or anything. Then
some rusty old water fountain at
the ice rink in Missoula on the fairgrounds. And yeah, so then he just takes it and he jams it back into my skull. We won the game, so we go to the team party afterwards, of course. And I'm sitting there nursing a beer going, "Don't swallow my tooth, don't swallow my tooth." Had to go get a root canal. But other than that, it's still the same.
But it's your tooth.
It's the exact same.
That's amazing.
Tooth in there. But ever since then, about once a month, I have a dream that like my tooth starts to disintegrate or it falls out or something. And I'm just wondering if you experienced that since you chipped your tooth on a bagel.
On a bagel.
Hockey.
It was a toasted bagel, too.
Hockey over here.
Speaking of
Bagel.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And it was a toasted bagel, as we were talking about toasters, bringing it full circle.
God, we're good.
I have not had that nightmare,
Okay.
But good luck tonight.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Enjoy. You got anything else?
I think we're good.
Yeah.
I think we hit it all.
So this is the end of our episode where we'd like to do just a general awareness. Careful with your bagels, ladies and gentlemen. It is an epidemic out there.
Apparently so.
Keep it below 4 on the toasting cycle, or else you might end up like my partner over here.
Okay.
Are those minutes or are those actually seconds?
I was going to ask you, is that doneness or are they minutes? I thought it was always like the level.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
But it only goes to 7, and you would figure if it was a level, it would be 1 to 10, which is a general scale of.
And also, if you're toasting something for 7 minutes, like who's got that patience?
Also, and who's toasting it for 2?
Yeah.
You just warming it up?
Well, we'll be back next week where we'll toast for 2 after Oregon plays Minnesota on Friday, and then we got some big ones coming up.
Yeah, we do.
Make sure you check us out at i5corridor.com, where we also have the Rip City Pod, hosted and produced by Eric Anderson. He's been posting about 2 to 3 YouTubes and podcasts about the Blazer season. Give us a rating and a review on Spotify or iTunes. That would help us a lot. And subscribe to the YouTube channel. You know, we are wearing our Monday's best here, and we're on video for you to see.
100%.
Obviously, we've been limited over the years by technology, but finally they realized that we do have a face for the internet.
Yep.
And
Ready for us.
the ratings are just out of this world. So we'll be back next week, and thank you for listening.